Breaking right now, has Prince Harry fallen out with another significant person in his life? David Foster, the famous and very, very wealthy music mogul, had been described as the Duke of Sussex's surrogate dad, a replacement to King Charles. But now reports suggest that that relationship may also be over after he missed his recent 75th birthday. Our royal mastermind, Angela Levin, joins me now. She is the biographer of both Prince Harry and Queen Camilla. Angela, this one really surprised me because I know Harry has lost so many close relationships, even in Hollywood, since being there, because their behavior has just been so appalling. And we know what the Hollywood Reporter wrote about Meghan's actions. So I knew they'd lost lots of people, but I thought David Foster and his wife, Catherine McPhee, were two of the people who remained close to Harry and Meghan. I mean, they live in Montecito, just around the corner, but the reports suggest Harry and Meghan didn't show up. They didn't send an apology message. So it looks like another one bites the dust. Another person in their life has just been Markled.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but I think when you get to 75, which is that age that David Foster has reached, you don't take much nonsense, do you? And I think obviously it was a very big party. And you would imagine that you'd hear something about Harry and Meghan going there, but there isn't anything. So whether they've had a row, whether they're fed up with him, whether he's just used them or moaned endlessly about his family and how hard done by he is, well, he'll have to take that, try and be brave about it. I mean, that's how you look at it on the first level. But if you look at it on the second, what is he doing? Why is he disappointing people so much? Why is rubbing them up the wrong way? As you said, he's no longer sought after by people around where he lives, who have got very good friends and don't bother with those two anymore. They've gone sort of right down in popularity.
Right, folks, this one is big. According to royal expert Angela Levin, Meghan Markle has bigger ambitions than we ever thought. She's not just trying to rehabilitate her image, she's strategically positioning herself back into royal circles. And guess what? Some insiders believe she wants to be queen. So here's the situation. Tina Brown, a top royal author, is now saying that William should let Harry back into the royal family. Why? Because apparently it's for the good of Britain.
But it's a shame when you have a couple who are very suited to you. And of course, his wife went to school with Meghan, so they were quite friendly as well. And it's lovely if you can build up a nice friendship like that. And Harry needs a lot of older people to look after him, really. But you mess it up, and there we are. People aren't going to be very calm and understanding. He's used to that for years and years, spoilt boy, and he gets it now, and it's difficult, but he's got to learn to manage.
But Angela, look, I'm never someone who defends Harry because I really think his behaviour has been abominable. The one thing that I will say, though, is he did always used to have a good circle of friends around him. So surely the fact that he now loses all his friends is down to his relationship with Meghan.
I don't think you can say that. I mean, he is an adult, even if he's a sort of baby adult. I think Meghan has rubbished him to small pieces. But I think, as I said the other day, he's very scared of her and he has to do as he's told. But I think that you can say no and you can hang on to who you were if he wanted to, but he's not doing that. So he's in a very bad state, isn't he, really?
Well, yeah, and the thing is that the other problem with both of them is they take offence to things so quickly. It doesn't take much for them to make a decision to ghost someone and cut them out of their lives forever?
Well, I think that actually they look for it.
Yeah.
I know somebody who only felt really energetic and happy. It's not me, energetic and happy if something was going very wrong and if somebody annoyed them, where they can actually blow up and get all angry, and all the adrenaline goes round and it makes them feel terrific for a while. And they're also very thin-skinned, which is a relief for me, because that means that Meghan could never actually do anything in politics, because I think America is even worse than it is in here in the UK about people criticizing you and finding out what you've done before you try to become a politician. And I think she just couldn't stand it, or she would be taking everybody to court, one after the other. I mean, it would just been ridiculous. So I think it's more, you can actually say, this is very upsetting. I'm just going to put it to the side. I'm not going to see that person so often, but you don't have to attack them all the time. You can just gently let the relationship go quietly, and then in a few months' time you can pick it up again. But I think they still are holding on to so many things from the past that it's difficult for them to move on.
But let's be real. Does anyone actually believe Harry would return without Meghan trying to get in too? Angela Levin lays it out perfectly. Meghan is not coming back quietly. If she gets even a toe back in, she will demand power, influence, and, of course, money. And let's not forget, Meghan hates being second to Kate Middleton. So if you think she'd return just to play a supporting role, think again. This is exactly why Prince William cannot let this happen. The moment Harry steps back in, Meghan will find a way to insert herself into the monarchy again. And if she does, you better believe she'll do everything in her power to climb higher. And if Meghan's royal power grab wasn't enough, we have another friendship collapsing. You guys remember David Foster, the legendary music mogul? Well, he was once described as Harry's surrogate father. Basically a replacement for King Charles after Harry cut ties with his real dad. This is huge. David Foster just had a massive 75th birthday party. And guess what? Harry and Meghan didn't show up. No call, no message, nothing. Another one bites the dust.
I know. It really is. It really is. But the problem is, Angela, this just means he's even more isolated. Big problems in the marriage, but no close friends left back in the UK, or very few, a handful, let's just be accurate about that. No close relatives apart from sometimes Beatrice and Eugenie. That's a very isolating situation for someone to find themselves in, especially as a marriage goes awry.
Yes, I mean, that's right.
And he has mental health issues,
Again,
doesn't he? I mean, sorry.
yes, he does.
interrupt,
And
but,
he
you know,
can, I mean, he's got people he can
and drug problems.
contact he can say, look, I'm in a very bad state, and they will try to help him. But this is also something that he's done for himself. And we all are responsible for how we look after ourselves, aren't we, in the end? You know, you can't keep on attacking your family, a wonderful family, really, the royal family, and then expect them to forgive you within an instant and move on and do exactly what you want to do at the time and the date, and actually what you want to get out of them. And you can't expect that at all. I mean, he's just doing another court case, and this is actually appalling, because it's upset his father again, because it's actually his father's place where the court is, and he's still going through for that, and he still wants accountability and a financial settlement from his father and an apology to Meghan. Now, how does he expect his ailing father, who's doing a fantastic job of trying to get on with it well and continue with his work and meeting his subjects. And Harry's not prepared to do anything like that, won't compromise. So I don't, he's got to learn that life isn't about just making demands. Even if you are a prince, you've got to, try and manage on your own.
Indeed. Now, another major development comes from Tina Brown. Now, you probably have heard of Tina Brown, but she was very good friends with Princess Diana, one of Britain's most accomplished and successful journalists and magazine editors in history, but very recently went viral around the world for stinging criticism of Meghan Markle. Absolutely stinging. And she was pretty tough on Prince Harry as well. But the Harry PR friends, shall we say, have now got to Tina Brown because she has written an explosive new Substack this week where she says William, whatever his abiding resentments towards Harry, should now suck it up and let his father give Harry something to do. In other words, take Harry back. Now, Angela, just before you respond, I want to go into a bit more detail with what Tina Brown specifically said, because she is very well connected, even though I completely disagree with what she is suggesting here. So she returned to UK for Remembrance Sunday and said that there is still a gaping Harry-shaped hole in the depleted royal lineup. So she said the British nation needs his human touch, and so does his ailing father. Prince William just acknowledged that this past year's scourge of family illnesses, when his father and wife fell mortally ill at the same time, has been brutal. But the other prince who could plausibly lighten the load is still benched in Montecito. Now, she's also been incredibly critical of Prince William, saying that his swaggery interview at the end of his South Africa trip, where he told reporters that he plans to do things differently, was not a good thing.
At this point, we've lost count of how many close friends and allies Harry and Meghan have abandoned. Hollywood connections? Gone. Royal family? Burned. And now, even people in their inner circle are distancing themselves. That says everything. We've talked about royal bridges being burned, but let's talk about Hollywood. Because the entertainment industry was supposed to be their golden ticket. But now? Even that's falling apart. Let me be clear. This is not some tabloid hit piece. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter, one of the most respected insider sources in the entertainment industry. And when they are saying your behavior is appalling, you're done. Think about it. Why is Meghan launching a lifestyle brand instead of a Netflix blockbuster? Because Hollywood doesn't want her. The Meghan and Harry hype has faded, and now the big players don't see them as assets anymore.
And I found that particularly tough, actually, because what William was doing was saying, I've had the most brutal year of my life. Anyway, she goes on saying, enough with the feuds. Families, including this one, need to stick together. William, whatever his abiding resentments towards Harry for his intemperate broadsides in Spare, should now suck it up and let his father give Harry something to do. In an isolationist Trump world, the UK needs to draw closer to Europe and romance its relations with the Commonwealth. William and Kate dread foreign tours that take the princess away from the children and cut into what William, to his advisor's irritation, call his me time. So unload the lesser but important red carpet junkets onto the Sussexes, who, chastened by 5 years in the wilderness, would export some modern royal flair, especially to ex-colonial trouble spots. Wasn't that the original plan? And then she claims that no one would be happier about a rapprochement than Queen Elizabeth, who took a harsh position on Brexit, but in times of crisis evolved her positions, albeit at glacial pace, as she did when she finally allowed Prince Charles to marry his mistress in 2005. What was always paramount for her was the health of the crown, and right now, the country needs Harry. Now, I'm sorry, Angela, I completely disagree with Tina Brown on this. I completely disagree with her. Firstly, she's not in the UK, so she lives in America. She doesn't know how we feel about Harry. I also believe that Harry's aides have clearly got to her because this is totally different. It's a complete 180 from what she said in the interview that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. But the bigger point is, Harry didn't make some intemperate comments about William in Spare. He accused the future king of being a violent bully. He accused Catherine of being the B word. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get why all of this pressure is now coming on William to allow Harry back. Harry doesn't deserve to come back. We don't want Harry back. The royal family doesn't need Harry back. That's my view, Angela. Over to you.
Well, over to me. I mean, I think it's the most vicious piece of writing. And I think she's equally sort of out of touch with people now. I mean, she doesn't got it completely wrong. And all this nonsense about saying, everybody longs to have Harry back. It's not the Harry we knew years ago. The Harry we knew then has been destroyed by himself and by Meghan. And if he comes over and does any sort of give him a job to do, well, it's an absurd thing to say, because he will, demand money for it. Meghan will demand money for it, but she will take over. Meghan wants to be queen. You can't actually have her as standing there as a second person. So all that is nonsensical, actually, very ridiculous, and she should know better. She's a marvelous journalist, but this is incredibly spiteful and ridiculous. She said one of the things that at the cenotaph, the king looked old and bleak without the usual supportive presence of Camilla. Well, what does she expect someone to do at the cenotaph? Laugh away, smile at people as he does when he's in the car. I mean, that's nonsense. It's incredibly upsetting. I imagine that he was thinking of his parents, because he remembers that being a very important day for those two. And I think that he feels for all the people who have died. They're his people, aren't they? And you can't sort of make a joke about that, or suddenly see someone in the distance go, hello, hello, to show that you're happy and in a good mood. So that is complete nonsense, isn't it? You go to that sort of occasion and you're joking. Who would do that? I mean, idiots would do that.
Remember that $100 million Netflix deal? The Spotify contract? Both failing. And now that even A-listers like David Foster are backing away, it's clear Hollywood sees them as a liability. And if losing Hollywood wasn't bad enough, now even former celebrity allies are choosing the royals over the Sussexes. Case in point, David Beckham. This is a huge shift. The Beckhams used to be close to Meghan and Harry. They even attended their wedding. But now, David Beckham has chosen to stand with King Charles and Prince William. And if you're wondering why, well, let's not forget that Meghan once accused Victoria Beckham of leaking stories to the press. Another bridge burned. This tells you everything. If Hollywood is dropping them, if royal allies like Beckham are picking the monarchy over them, if even their own surrogate father has had enough, where does that leave Harry and Meghan?
So how dare she say that? I mean, it's very rude for people who feel about all the people who have passed away.
But also, Angela, the idea that having Harry and Meghan there would solve the royal family's problems, I'm sorry, that's delusional. Yeah. Because the reason that Harry and Meghan are so worried about making public appearances in the UK, especially with Meghan, is because there are genuine fears that they would be booed. And so I just don't think that she's got this one right. But I believe
she's got it completely wrong. And it's also nasty wrong. But Harry can't look after himself, can he? I mean, he had Mark Dyer, the Welsh Guards official, who looked after him until well into his 20s, because he couldn't trust him anywhere. He'd get so drunk, he would take drugs. So he had to have someone looking after him. He had a woman looking after him as well. But he had this very nice man, Mark Dyer, who looked after him for years. I mean, he's not someone who actually could manage on his own in sort of work terms.
No, indeed. And I just, find the criticism of William particularly unfair.
It's all set up,
given
isn't
what
it?
he
It's all
has had to
set
deal
up.
with. And the problem is, I will just repeat again, this feels to me like Harry and Meghan PR spin. And Tina Brown obviously feels a little bit guilty because she went very harsh on them a couple of weeks ago. And this is what happens. They're now trying to change the narrative again.
I don't think she's not someone who feels a little bit guilty. She's a very tough woman. You know, she edited magazines. She was extremely well known here and in America. She's a toughie. So I don't think that she would have crumbled and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'll make it all right." But there is, on the other hand, there is a deliberate way of trying to bring him down. And I think they're doing it very hard at the moment because he's vulnerable. And I think it is disgusting. And, you know, he went very well. He went happily abroad to sort out what he wanted to do over 4 days. He was very happy about it. He enjoyed things. People loved him. And it's very, very unkind. They do the same for Catherine. But I know you talked about that earlier this week, so we won't go there. But, you know, some people love it. If they see someone vulnerable, they've got their chance to chew them up. And I think she should, I hope she regrets doing this at some point, because actually it makes her seem very unpleasant.
So here's the million-dollar question. Is this Meghan's final power play? Is she actually trying to work her way back into the royal family? And if she is, will William stop her? One thing's for sure. If William lets Harry back in, he better be prepared for Meghan's next move. Because if you think she's coming back just to stand in the background, think again. And with their public support plummeting, their Hollywood connections fading, and their royal ties in ruins, maybe, just maybe, this is the end of the Sussex era. Alright folks, that's it for today's reaction. If you like this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more. Do you think Meghan is trying to work her way back into the royal family? Or is this just a wild theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.